And now I'd like to open the meeting to the sharing of testimonies of healing through Christian Science.
I am so grateful for all the opportunities that God is giving me here at the church. It has been such a blessing doing this work, and I am grateful that it has given me an understanding of Mrs. Eddy's words from Science and Health. Whatever blesses one blesses all. I didn't realize when I first came here that because God blessed the members of this church with love, purpose, and abundance, it proved that I could have love, purpose, and abundance as well. Before becoming a member, I never thought such things were possible for me. Thankfully, Christian Science isn't here for a select few to make their lives better by standing on the backs of others. It is truly for all mankind to share. There's no limitation for God's goodness, and this church is helping me to see past every limitation I put in my own way. All of this is teaching me to trust God and to wait on Him the best I can. I have no need to feel guilty for any seeming success I might have, because I can be sure that it's a blessing for others as well. In such a wonderful environment, why wouldn't everyone strive and thrive to claim every blessing, knowing it will benefit others? I'm so grateful for every single part of this church and every single part of Christian Science. Thank you.
I would like to say how grateful I am that Christianity, true Christianity, is a science. God's promises are law. There's a statement in our textbook that I read recently that says, "The science of mind disposes of all evil." That is why Christian Science is so comforting to me, because the science of mind does dispose of all evil. And there is nothing in the universe outside of God's divine mind's control. Since joining this church, I can honestly say that every time I have honestly taken a problem to God, it has been healed through Christian Science treatment. And with every healing, I've grown closer to God, and I've gained a firmer foundation for my life. It has affected every aspect of my life. I'm so grateful to Mary Baker Eddy for discovering this science and for proving it by healing the same way Jesus healed, the same way his disciples healed, and the same way others have healed throughout history. And then she went further, and she wrote it down in a textbook for the benefit of all mankind. I'm so grateful for all the fine practitioners and teachers I've found in this church. I'm so grateful to be here tonight, and for all of the firm foundation that Christian Science has given me for my life.
Thank you.
It was a little difficult to understand the interview between Joseph and Adil in Pakistan, but some of it was the hardships that he has living in Pakistan and how much the translation work that he does helps him, and that sometimes when there's a great need, a verse that he's translating is just what he needs to help heal the situation. And I know after hearing this, we will certainly include him in our prayers, and to know that the government is on God's shoulders, and right where he is and right where the trouble seems to be is God's presence and power, sustaining, blessing, and healing that situation.
Thank you. Day from Maryland, go ahead.
Thank you. On Sunday during the roundtable service, my mother-in-law called to let me know that my husband's stepfather had passed on that morning. My husband and I left shortly after with the intention of going to comfort his mother and two sisters and to help as we were directed. We both knew that even under the circumstances, the day didn't have to be sorrowful. And because of the timing of the call, we were able to call in to listen to the church service on our way. With life as the lesson subject, our thought was well prepared when we arrived. We were able to spend the entire day with our family. What had been a sad morning for them was completely turned around. The whole experience was joyful and harmonious, and this is exactly what was needed. I'm so grateful to understand now that God's law is the only law. There is no sorrow in it, and obeying and trusting in His law, no matter what, will always result in true healing and blessings for everyone. I'm so grateful to God for this and for everything. And thank you all for tonight's meeting.
Thank you. There's a caller from Iowa who is on now.
Yes, this is Tom from Iowa. Thank
Hello.
you, Bruce.
Hello, Tom. Go ahead.
I had been going in the wrong direction and had already been hospitalized 3 times for mental health problems. I finally decided to call for practitioner help in Plainfield and was met with love and strength. Since then, I felt better and closer to God. Thank you to God and to the practitioner and to the Plainfield Church for what they're doing. And also thank you to Mrs. Eddy for discovering Christian Science. Thank you.
And thank you. Linda from Pennsylvania, go ahead.
Thank you for the readings tonight. I am grateful for the many changes in my life since attending Plainfield. One being a reduced anxiety-driven energy that could be very disruptive. Working weekly with a Plainfield practitioner and participating in many activities here and working to live the biblical principles in my daily life, I see a lessening of anxious feelings. I am less reactive, impatient, and impulsive and jumpy, and a new ability to quiet my thoughts much quicker has come. Over the years, I have tried various treatments. Some helped a little, but unlike here at Plainfield, the changes have been more constant and lasting. This has not been through human change or effort, but a result of understanding God better, loving more, and a change in my thinking. For this, I thank God, Christ Jesus, Mary Baker Eddy, and Plainfield. Thank you very much for the service this evening. Goodbye.
Thank you. Joanne from Florida, go ahead.
For the past several weeks, every morning I've been listening to an archived roundtable session on the website. I really look forward to them. I had been yearning for spiritually minded companionship for quite some time. And listening to these recordings not only satisfies this need, but it's also helping me grow closer to God. I just wanted to say thanks for the wisdom that has established these roundtables, for the love that has posted them on the website, and for those members who participate in them. They bless more hearts than you can imagine. Thank you so much for the Plainfield Church and all you are doing.
Thank you. Jim from Arizona, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
I'm very grateful to be a member of this church. My entire life has changed since I came here. And I've had quite a few physical healings that have just made such an impression on me. God does heal, as Jesus did. His disciples, I think, for 300 years after his passing, after his ascension, they healed. And so Jesus meant it, that we should do the works that he did. And Mary Baker Eddy then has discovered the laws of God and of the universe, that only good is true, only good is real, and anything else God takes care of and gets eliminated. There was one healing I had that was very impressive to me. I had fallen down a flight of stairs and I broke my foot. It was extremely painful. I couldn't stand on it. And I called a practitioner from this church. The practitioner told me, "You can never fall away from God. God is everywhere, so you can't possibly fall away from him, and you cannot be harmed." And it just filled me with the greatest love for God and his love for me. And I just loved that, and it was just such a wonderful feeling. And within 2 days, I was back at work wearing my high heels, and my foot was completely healed just that quickly. I am so very grateful for Christian Science and very grateful to God for giving it to us, and for Mrs. Eddy for writing it down and all that she left us that we can study, and for practitioner help. Thank you.
Thank you. Chardell from Pennsylvania, go ahead.
Good evening. I wanted to thank you tonight, Plainfield, for the beautiful readings and the service and the music. It's so comforting. I also wanted to give thanks for the Liberator. It's called The Love is the Liberator, and you've mentioned it already. It is about joy, the joy of the Lord. It is so beautiful. In it is an article about Rejoice Evermore by Willard S. Maddox. I would just like to read a few things that have really uplifted my soul. The early Christians were happy. They were not oppressed by a dismal creed that demanded they assume a somber manner as a substitute for genuine piety. And then to the immediate followers of Jesus and to the early converts to Christianity, it was quite natural to be happy. And then lastly, from Mrs. Eddy and her miscellaneous writings on page 309, quote, "Scientists sometimes take things too intensely," and elsewhere she says that there are wit, humor, and enduring vivacity among God's people. Thank you, Plainfield, for everything. Good night.
Thank you.
I just want to say how grateful I am to be here tonight. I do not truly have a testimony tonight, but God has given me one after listening to the interview that Joseph in the UK gave to a friend of ours in Pakistan. I didn't hear everything that he said, but I understood quite a few, and also I relate to almost everything that he was experiencing. In some degree, I have at some point experienced what he and his family is currently going through, and that tonight reminded me how and where God found me and what our God is. With no doubt, He is God of entire universe. It doesn't matter where you are, even if you are the only one or you are among the few that serve Him, pray to Him. He hears you and He takes care of you. I'm so grateful that God loved me so much and decided to take care of me and brought me here and delivered me from all dangers and the persecutions that many Christians today are experiencing in many parts of the world. I think it's something that I will always remember, and I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to be here tonight to have this reminder to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Florence from Georgia, go ahead.
Thank you. Tonight I'd like to give gratitude to Christian Science for showing me who I am. Through Mrs. Eddy's writings, she points out who our true being is, and this is the true being of all mankind everywhere. I am so grateful that through the textbook in these pages, page 468, we have the scientific statement of being, and a sentence like, Spirit is God, and man is his image and likeness. Therefore, man is not material, he is spiritual. This is profound, and it made a great impact on me when I first read it. On page 475, he says, man is incapable of sin, sickness, and death. The real man cannot depart from holiness. And then on page 591, man is the compound idea of infinite spirit, the spiritual image and likeness of God, the full representation of mind. If I ever wondered who I am, confused about who I am, and therefore troubled by all the things that came to thought, I have found the real identity, my real identity and everyone else's, and it has brought tremendous peace in my life. I am so grateful that Mrs. Eddy sacrificed her whole life to give this science to the whole world, because it is changing lives. For once we know that the errors that come, the claims that come, none of them are true. Not when God is saying, this is who we are spiritual. I am so grateful to have found Christian Science. So grateful for the beautiful readings tonight, and so grateful for everything going on at Plainfield. It's blessing the world more than we can ever know.
Thank you. Well, I had a blessing recently I'd like to share. It seemed like a few problems came into my life that I had to take care of. And at first, I was a bit disturbed that they came about and I had to take care of them. Next thing you know, I started worrying about them. Next thing you know, I couldn't do anything right. And then I turned on my computer and looked on our website, and there's an article there by Mary Baker Eddy, and it's entitled God's Nearness. In fact, it's even in our Love is a Liberator magazine at the end. One statement in that article that she wrote says, "Everything that comes to me today brings a blessing." And we know from her history, she faced things that none of us ever face. And yet she wrote that everything that comes to me today brings me a blessing. Well, that gives me more encouragement to know that whatever it is that got dropped on my lap, with it comes a blessing. And I better approach it with that outlook. And sure enough, a couple of the things were resolved, but a couple of them are in the process of getting resolved. But the thing that I'm most grateful for is that I'm not worrying about them any longer, and that I'm active again, and I'm not being slowed down in the things that I need to do. God does indeed have an answer for everything, and whatever it is that comes, there is a blessing there. We just need to make sure that we get it and go forward with that. So I'm grateful for this valuable lesson. It helped me immensely. Grateful for that article that's in our magazine.
I'm very grateful for learning here that truth persists and error does not. A while ago, I had a soreness in my mouth. My cheek and my gum on one side were very sore every time I touched it with my tongue.
and I wouldn't allow this thought to dwell on how or why or what it was or what was going on, but just know that the truth that I am not material, but God's perfect spiritual reflection now. I held to this truth and let nothing else interfere. After a couple of days, the problem was completely gone. I thanked God that only good is going on, and there's only perfection as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tonight I'll read a few things from our church bulletin board on the website. The first from Maryland. Thank you for the Carpenter article about telling the truth about the lie. I read the story of how Mrs. Eddy said that to a worker with a cold in the Carpenter book, and it completely floored me. I love how Mr. Carpenter expands the teaching in this Carousel article. Absolutely enlightening. Thank you for making these teachings available to all. And then Georgia. Love all the resources we have at Plainfield. My sister joined her first roundtable on Sunday and is looking forward to the next one. Thank you so much, Plainfield, for all you have made available. It is meeting mankind's needs. And then Pennsylvania. Thank you to everyone who contributed in any way to tonight's, which was last week's, healing testimony service. It hit home in every possible way. In Florida, thank you for posting the beautiful video of Spirit about the black leopard on the website Carousel. The spiritual lessons from that video that were discussed in this Sunday's roundtable were wonderful. So much good on this website. Thank you all for it. And then Pennsylvania. It is with extreme gratitude that I thank everyone for the roundtable on July 19th. This entire roundtable was a powerful treatment that brought new unfoldment, strength, and peace that was individual as well as collective. One of my favorites was stressed, then you think you are doing it, and we must know that it is God that is doing it. I'd like to thank everyone tonight for first the beautiful readings, the testimonies, and also tonight we have Jim visiting us, and he played the organ, and it was magnificent. So good to hear it. We're very grateful he came to do that for us. Thank you, Jim. In the lesson this week in Science and Health, Mrs. Eddy says, "Instruct the sick. They are not helpless victims. For if they will only accept truth, they can resist disease and ward it off as positively as they can the temptation to sin." When I first came to this church, before knowing much about science, I thought I was a helpless victim. It seemed like there were a lot of external things, none of which I had control over, and so things would happen and I would feel helpless and victimized. Science and Health, with Key to the Scriptures, teaches something very different. Man is a child of God, and we are not victims. In the book of Genesis in the Bible, the first chapter, it said that God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And also that God gave man dominion over all things, and then it lists all the things that we have dominion over. If that is true, we cannot be a victim. The only thing is that most people don't know this. It was certainly illustrated in the Bible readings tonight, where Jesus had dominion over the weather. By knowing his oneness with God, his relationship with God, he was able to demonstrate peace during a storm and calmed it. And so it is with us. We can realize this dominion coming from us, from God. As people have mentioned tonight, the laws of the universe. This isn't just positive thinking. This isn't just wishful thinking. This is the truth that can be proven. And we ask no one to just accept this blindly. You can prove it for yourself, as we have here. So in learning this and learning that I wasn't a victim, I learned many lessons, including, as this statement from Science and Health said, how to receive the truth and ward off disease. An example of that was I used to have colds and coughs in the winter for months, weeks. They would just go on. And there again, I thought I was a victim of disease, germs, cold weather, whatever you want. But I learned here that's not the truth. A practitioner had told me that colds are a form of crying. It's a way your body is feeling sad about something. And when I looked into my thought honestly, I realized before the colds came, I was usually depressed and crying about something. Something was deeply bothering me. And when I corrected that, when I corrected whatever was unhappy or wrong in my life, my joy returned, and the healings of colds and coughs has been permanent. This is a truth that you can apply for yourself. It works. It's what we call demonstrated. I'm so grateful to Mrs. Eddy for her textbook. I'm grateful for the Bible that's given us so much. I'm grateful for this meeting and the joy and the love that is expressed.
Thank you.